The road stretched out before him, a long, dark ribbon cutting through the vast emptiness of the plains. The air was dry, crisp, and there was no one for miles. The moon hung low, barely a sliver, in the ink-black sky, casting long shadows across the deserted road. It was the perfect kind of night for solitude, the kind of night that would make you forget the world was even out there. The only sound was the hum of the engine as it droned on, the tires clicking over the asphalt in a rhythm that felt almost hypnotic. He had been driving for hours, lost in his thoughts, his eyes growing heavier with each passing mile. The lights of the city were long gone, replaced by nothing but the occasional flash of stars above and the darkness beneath. That's when he saw them. At first, it was nothing more than a flicker in his peripheral vision. Two small shapes standing at the side of the road. He nearly missed them, the shadows blending too well into the night. But then, as he got closer, they became impossible to ignore. A boy and a girl standing perfectly still, side by side. Their faces were pale, almost unnaturally so, and their clothes were simple, clothes that didn't quite look right for the time of year. Too clean, too pristine. Their eyes, though, those eyes were the real horror. He slowed the car down, instinctively drawn to them, but a chill gripped his spine. The closer he got, the more it felt wrong. Something about the way they stood there, motionless, staring, was off. It didn't sit right. His gut tightened. He rolled the window down, the rush of cold air hitting him like a slap to the face. The boy's voice broke through the silence, soft but clear. "Can you help us? Can you take us home?" The request was simple enough, but there was something in his tone, something that made every muscle in my body tense up. He wasn't sure why, but the words sent a shiver through him, like they were asking him for more than just a ride, something deeper. He forced his voice to respond, despite the knot in his throat. "Where are your parents?" The girl didn't speak, only stared with those black eyes as though she was waiting for him to figure it out on his own. The boy, though, his expression didn't change. He just stared, and in the dim light, the whites of his eyes seemed to disappear entirely, replaced by the blackest he had ever seen. A sudden wave of dread washed over him. It wasn't just fear, it was something colder. The air seemed to drop in temperature. He could feel it seeping into his bones, a biting cold that had no place in the Texas heat. His breath came out in visible puffs, even though the night was still very warm. It was as if the very air had turned against him. He felt the weight of their gaze now, felt it crawl under his skin, burrowing deep into his chest. It wasn't natural. These were not children. He didn't know what they were, but he knew one thing. He needed to leave, and he needed to leave now. The boy repeated himself, his voice softer, almost too calm. "We're just trying to get home." The silence was deafening, the quiet night pressing in around him, making every second stretch out longer than the last. He could feel his heartbeat pounding in his ears, and he glanced nervously at the rearview mirror. He had to get away. But before he could speak, the weight of the cold intensified. It was suffocating now, a tangible presence pressing against him from all sides. The car seemed to shudder under the chill. The dread in his chest turned to pure terror. Without thinking, he slammed the car into gear, foot pressing hard on the gas. The tires screeched as he spun the wheel, yanking the car around with such force that he nearly lost control. He didn't dare look back, didn't dare even glance in the rear view. The road stretched ahead, but the feeling didn't leave him. It clung to him. Even as the car roared forward into the black void of the night, the cold lingered in his bones, the dread gnawing at his insides, refusing to fade. He kept driving, faster now, as though the night itself was chasing him. But no matter how quickly he sped away, the weight of that moment, the sense of danger was still with him. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was out there. Something had been waiting for him to drive past. Something he had narrowly escaped. But how close was he really? His hands trembled on the steering wheel, his breath shallow and rapid, as though he'd just run a marathon. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what he had just experienced, but every explanation he could come up with seemed worse than the last. All he knew for certain was that he'd never drive that road again, and the memory of those black eyes would haunt him long after the chill had worn off and the night had passed, because there was something about them, something he couldn't explain, that told him this encounter wasn't a random event. Whatever had been waiting by the side of the road, it wasn't human, and it had wanted him to stay.